Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Gurunath Murthy. I would like to introduce you to the RAD app and database. RAD app is an acronym for Regional Anesthesia Database. It's an innovative mobile e-audit app, or you would like to call it as an e-logbook app, and along with an integrated national server, you can have a national database. This helps in improving quality and safety in regional anesthesia. We at the Medusis are very well supported by the team TAS, the Anesthetist Society in India, and hopefully other organizations interested in having e-national databases of peripheral nerve blocks and regional anesthesia will be interested in the near future. In this era of evidence-based medicine, the onus is upon us as doctors to prove that we do maintain quality and safety through regular clinical audits and also at the same time provide real-world data and accurate data on practice and outcomes to help setting up benchmarks based on the local population and local resources. There is a great interest in real-world evidence, but many don't know how to collect this evidence, especially in the developing nations. Electronic medical records can help, but hundreds of developing nations are still far away from this, and also even wherever there is these EMRs, there is no consistent data collections. At the end of every conference or workshop, I can see a bunch of enthusiastic anesthesiologists very keen to get on to work the next day and try to do that new nerve block or technique that they have learned. It's a good thing. It's good to know that people are motivated to get back to work. But some are very good, some do get lucky, some enthusiasm, in each of these new nerve blocks is short-lived, and some nerve blocks just die out of practice very quickly. Overall, how do we know we are doing well? Do we have a benchmark? What are our peers doing? There are many questions, but surprisingly, the answer is very simple. Do an audit, compare your result with the national benchmark, and see where you need to improve and re audit. But why can't all anesthesia practitioners across the world do their own audits? During my interactions in over the years in various forums, in conferences, and along with direct interactions with many anesthesiologists across the world, I found that there are a lot of anesthetists who are not aware of the problem. They don't know how to collect the data, they will have difficulty in analyzing them and presenting them. Moreover, they don't know if they've got a benchmark to compare to. And our day-to-day busy clinical practice is already riddled with so many challenges. Now, how can we do audits and provide real-world evidence? It's been a very tricky situation so far, and I have found a way to add it up. With my innovation, we can help anesthetists to do their own audits and also at the same time provide data to the real-world evidence. In the past, we used to use paper-based audits. Only very few anesthesiologists would get involved in this. It would be cumbersome. There is high risk of imperfect data entry or data loss. It is difficult to archive or even retrieve the files. The current era is of web-based data entries, and again, not every anesthetist or hospital can have these computing and administrative staff and other requirements. Actually, the future is already here. It's all about mobile apps and cloud data. It is universal that across all doctors and even in remote locations, we have at least some degree of communications network, like the 3G networks. You can now see that a lot of anesthetists carry their smartphones along with them all the time. Yes, mobile computing is now universal. So it is time now to look for the future, because the best way to predict our future is to create it right now in the present. So don't look for the answers for all the problems that we have from the past or the present. Look for the future, and welcome to the world of digital self-learning and improving safety and quality. We as anesthetists, we pride ourselves in safety and quality, and it is our commitment to help everyone. The RAD app, or the Regional Anesthesia Database app, is convenient to use. You can use it anytime, anywhere, and at the patient bedside. It is available across all platforms like the iOS, the Androids, the web mode, or even offline mode. Quality data is ensured by data collection at the point of care, and several issues identified with the paper and web-based registries are addressed here. We've got safety features that are inbuilt into the architecture by privacy by design approach to comply with most of the health privacy data protection principles across many countries. A robust data analytics is promoted through efficient use of biostatistics in our system. So how does it work? So data based on the patient's nerve block, whether be it patient basic demography, the preoperative data, the intraoperative block data, and postoperative outcome can be entered through web approach, through the tablets, smartphones, or through the web. Any approach, they're all encrypted and obfuscated when it is entered into the cloud. In the cloud, the encrypted RAD database server has a aggregated or a collated format in the form of report section. So individual users will have this security that most of their analyzed data is anonymized, that no one else will know where this data came from or where this came from, but this analyzed data is helpful in coming to meaningful conclusions. This is the screen that you will look in, when you enter into the RAD app. You can download the RAD app from the any Apple Store or the Play Store. Search for RAD Medusis or Regional Anesthesia Database. You got information document, you got the privacy policy here, you can read the terms and condition, you enter your username and password and log in through this. Currently, we have developed the module for peripheral nerve blocks. In the pipeline, we got the labor analgesia, obstetric anesthesia, CNB non-obstetrics, and general anesthesia, which could involve any other subspecialty. You can also look into the reports or pro reports where you can have many more filters to analyze the data. Essentially, when you log in, you enter the patient info, pre-op details. Once that is done, you can enter the block details followed by the recovery data, which can be entered by yourself or an independent person. Again, follow-up and patient feedback can be entered by yourself or any other person in your department. You can generate reports anytime, anywhere. Here we show a sample entries in a patient on a list. You can see that a minimum data set required for analysis is pre-op, block, and recovery. The follow-up and feedback is optional because we as busy anesthetists sometimes may not be able to follow up our patient, but you can always edit these patients if they come back a few weeks later or months later with any neurological complications or any other complication. You won't be able to upload the data for analysis until a minimum of these three fields are completed. Then you can click on this button to upload for analysis, and this patient record goes into the server to be analyzed in graphs and charts. It is also important to remember that you can edit each of these patients through a web-based approach, and also you can click on this button called view past records, which will basically explain to you how to go about looking at the past patients, and you can enter data. Again, due to lack of time here, I won't have all the details about how to use the app, but please feel free to visit these two websites where there is plenty of videos, user videos, and demonstrations on how to use the app. I'll just quickly show you how the reports and analysis works. This is my own database set where you can see I've speeded up the video just for time purposes here. You can select the filter of dates and then you can generate the data either as an Excel or as a PDF. And then once it is downloaded, you can see it coming up there. You can go scroll through all the reports, which will include basically the patient demography, the practice data and the outcome data. You can also go to the RAD Pro analysis, which will where you can individualize each type of block, and you can also compare with the national database, and you may also have a benchmark, and you can download these reports. You can see there is next to your report is the national database report, where you can compare and you can improve your practice. In the past, we used to learn a technique, we used to practice it, then we used to provide evidence. But the future, or your current present, using the RAD app, as you learn and practice, you can generate evidence in real time, and that evidence, with the help of some benchmarking, with the help of some dashboard information, you will get real-time feedback on your performance to help improve straight away. You don't have to wait to generate any reports. All this is instant. Now, this is a very important question that a lot of people ask, that why should I need to share the data into the national database server? Why can't I have my own data and just look into my own data? Unless you have a national database which is of, you don't have a benchmarking. So you need to understand that it is of the nation's best interest to have a national database. At the central database, only collated results are used, and there is anonymization of the results, so we won't know where it is actually coming from. It will also provide useful information on practice and outcomes, and help national organizations to provide guidelines based on the local resources and local practice. It is also useful to identify the incidence of some of the rare complications. And we can use multiple analytical tools to help practitioners identify the risk factors for specific outcomes. It also helps us to increase the knowledge that leads to better therapies for patients and advance our clinical understanding. Now, depending on who needs your data, but when we share the data, your identity, the hospital identity, or any patient related health information is not provided, and we are compliant with similar to the HIPAA requirements. Of course, it does come with your own responsibility. Even though it's a clinical audit as an observational study and not a research idea, you may still require ethics committee and local institutional research board approval may be required. So make sure you talk to them. Some of these ethics committee may need to know how this data is handled, what is the level of security involved in this process, and who can access the sensitive information, etc., etc. Patient consent is often difficult, but you can always use the opt-out consent process, whereby most patients, if they don't agree, they can opt out of the system. You need to sign up for some data privacy agreement, user agreement, and you may also be liable for governance and external audit to ensure there is data accuracy. This is also a very pertinent question in the current scenario of data security in the cloud servers. So we've got multiple processes, and there are a lot of questions that people ask. Is my data secure? How do we back up our data? How can I recover my data? Are we compliant? Is there any confidentiality maintained? Now, it is important for each one of you to remember that this app doesn't collect patient identifiers. There is no patient name, date of birth, or the hospital number that will be utilized in data entry. It is just an analysis of practice and outcome. And for your own benefit, to help patient follow up, the system generates a unique identifier number that you can keep with you in a personal location where you can do follow up. There are multiple security features that are available, both in terms of data privacy, infrastructure security, data management, and reactive security. You can go through these in details. Please feel free to contact us with the contact email address that is given at the end of this talk to know more about data security. Most importantly, I like this saying, because this is where the idea became from, is that I want to do something today so that I can accomplish what others cannot in the future. Now, we didn't want this to be just a data collection app, all right? We want to build in advanced analytics. We want to build in all other databases and also specifically the RAD education. Okay, we don't want this to be just a database. We want to chip in some extra intelligence, an app which will provide continuous dashboard and suggestive care, a structured algorithmic approach to acute and long-term complications and problems. We are all aware that complications from regional anesthesia are very rare and not every one of us is prepared to deal with such complication. So early recognition and treatment may lead to improved outcomes, and you will have this very handy within the app itself. So we are going to develop all these things in the near future as more and more organization and people take up this app and database. As I said earlier, opportunities out of this app are infinite. This app is your expert friend at the fingertips. You can look into your personal practice and make sure that you provide safe care, quality care every time, everywhere. It helps with effortless data collection and analysis, and at the same time, it takes care of your audit and also provides real-time evidence to the national database. You can prove to your patients, the surgeons, hospitals, and community at large that quality care is monitored and maintained. What about national organizations as clinical registries? We can evaluate the practice of regional anesthesia, identify the positive and negative trends, evaluate the outcome and incidence of complications, provide benchmark because benchmarking is one of the most effective strategies in quality improvement. It helps with local organizations to provide guidelines and consensus reports on practice, basis for research, and can foster safe and high quality regional anesthesia practice. Here is an example of what we have developed in India is to set up a regional anesthesia registry. And there were a lot of questions. Do we need such a national database in developing nations? Yes, because we are highly dependent on Western literature for proposing techniques and predicting outcomes after many different techniques. Now, it is important to remember there is a lot of difference between developed nations and developing nations, right from infrastructures in the type of education that the anesthesiologist receive to the type of patient population we treat. Across our nation, there is a large population base and huge volume of regional anesthesia practice, and there is also huge variation in this practice, and we don't know actually what is happening. There is no existing setup to monitor the outcome. There is no organization to provide guidelines for optimal care. And we also need a large database to identify and quantify those rare complications. It is important to remember that an unmonitored but an ever expanding system is a dangerous system. We've also got few other examples of benefits in terms of safety wise. We do capture some safety quality parameters. For example, whether basic monitoring is available, whether research equipment is available, lipid rescue, and also one of the most important things, never ever even whether a correct side time checkout is done or a wrong side block can happen or not. We looked at 210 practitioners using the app and database in the first year, and we found out some useful information on awareness on safety is about lipid rescue. A lot of practitioners realized that they were not having lipid rescue around them, near them, while doing the practice of peripheral nerve blocks. The risk of local anesthetic toxicity can be devastating, and lipid rescue is shown to provide dramatic effects. You can see over a period of 1 year, almost there was a 10%. So more than 21 practitioners started to buy lipid rescue and carrying with them everywhere they go across every rural part of India. So this is a great benefit, and I will be analyzing the next year's report to see how we are doing. But at least this has shown a greater confidence across practitioners that they are now providing safe quality care. There is also a multi-user interface which can be used by big departments from 5 to 25 users. It could be anywhere from a consultant trainees who are from first year to their final year of training. And there is a lot of flexibility for the admin of the department to add and remove users, and it provides multiple combinations for research publications. Is the list of some of the publications we've recently come up, and our latest one currently is the Indian National Audit Project on peripheral nerve blocks. Overall, I would like to say is what we need to focus is on patient-centered care. When we can all work in partnership, the quality and safety of healthcare can rise, and provider satisfaction increases and patient care experience improves. There is positive impact on anesthetists from freelancers working in remote locations to those working in big institutions and big cities. There are very few important aspects to understand is how we deliver care, quality of our service, and reporting of patient feedback data. Such data has never been reported in regional anesthesia in India. So, download your regional anesthesia database app, search for Medusis RAD or regional anesthesia database on Google Play Store or iOS Store, App Store, and install and click on register. If you got any doubt, please do not hesitate to contact us at this email address. Thank you very much for listening.